Hello and welcome to NurseBrain Synapse, the ultimate nurse workflow application helping nurses like you stay organized and on time throughout your shift. NurseBrain Synapse is HIPAA compliant and secure using bank-level encryption, and it's available on Androids, iPads, iPhones, and also online from any computer by simply going online to nursebrain.app. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 14 years. And I was having difficulty staying organized. I was having difficulty juggling all of my responsibilities and forgetting things, and sometimes even losing my brain sheet or my report sheet. Sometimes just not even being able to read my own handwriting after a crazy hectic shift. And so I thought, you know what, there has to be a better way. I looked and there wasn't. So I learned how to code and I built NurseBrain. So it's a labor of love. I've worked with a lot of nurses and a lot of nurse educators in order to create something that is designed to truly help you provide the best care to your patients. So once you log into NurseBrain, you have your profile here that you can edit as necessary. You can change your profile picture, change your wallpaper, add information about your shift in order to create a more customized experience. Now, just like many of you, I too experienced burnout when I was working at the bedside during COVID. And it's really important for nurses to monitor their well-being. So with NurseBrain Synapse, we like to just check in with nurses often, just to help them stay on top of their burnout levels. So before you start your shift, we just ask you to provide just a quick 2-question survey to get you going. So I'll go ahead and provide the ratings and then start my shift. Now, once you log in, you have your dashboard. So your dashboard is the place where you get an overview of what's going on with your shift, how many patients you have, and also how many tasks you have and medications. Also, you can view your notes if you have them and your shift as well. Now, one of the primary duties that NurseBrain Synapse does is it organizes your patient information using the SBAR format. So there are many ways to enter information into NurseBrain. You can add a patient by simply going to the clipboard, tapping the floating action button, and tapping Add Patient. Once you get to the screen, there's 2 ways that you can input patient information. There's a text box that you can use to enter information, and also there's a more guided approach that we have if you're a beginner or if you need a little bit of hand-holding in order to provide a really solid, detailed SBAR report. We use the situation, background, assessment, and recommendation format. Now, SBAR is evidence-based, and it's been shown to reduce medical errors and increase nurse satisfaction. Now, going back to the previous method, this single text box, this here is really effective because, as you've probably experienced already as a nurse, sometimes the nurse giving you the handoff is not really organized. They're not really using any systematic flow or method to provide you with information about your patient. They're going off on on tangents, talking about different things. They're starting with allergies, and then the next thing they're talking about is the ambulation status, and then the next thing they're talking about patient's family, and it's not really organized. So this is helpful, just having one single text box, because you can enter information in any order, even if it's disorganized. You can simply dump all the information about your patient into this text box, and we'll take care of the rest. Now, the other option is to use a QR code. So I will demonstrate that for you. You will tap the floating action button and then tap Import Patient. Now, this works when the other nurse who's giving you the report also has the NurseBrain Synapse app. So that nurse would then generate a QR code from their device, and then you would use your device to scan that QR code, and then you will then import all of that information into your NurseBrain Synapse. Now, this saves a lot of time, because I remember when I worked in med-surg, telemetry, and neuro, it was the same unit with 3 specializations. I had 4 patients, and it would take me about 90 minutes or so just to go through all the charts for each patient and to really understand what's going on, the history, the present, and what the plan is. And so the next nurse should not have to spend the same 90 minutes for those same 4 patients, right? So by you leveraging this feature, you can simply scan the QR code, and all the time, all the effort that the nurse spent that gathering information for those patients, you can import that information and get a head start to your shift. So let's go ahead and import the patient. Okay, so on my other device, I have here, I will generate a QR code. It's generated. And as you can see, this patient has been imported to my list. And they've been imported using the SBAR format, Situation Background Assessment Recommendation. And also, a smart note is being generated. A smart note is an AI-generated progress note for your patient that includes the SBAR summary, the tasks which were completed, and also an evidence-based nursing care plan that is tailor-made just for that patient. Okay, so now to add another patient, we have this new exciting feature, which is voice dictation. So you can simply add a patient using your voice. I have a sample patient that I will add. His name is John Smith, and let's give it a spin. John Smith is a 72-year-old male on his 4th day in the ICU, diagnosed with NSTEMI, his full code, no known drug allergies, and he's in room 152. He is intubated on SIMV with an FiO2 of 40%, a PEEP of 5, tidal volume 450 mL, and his O2 is at 94%. He's currently on low-dose norepinephrine at 0.02 mics per kilogram per minute, and his blood pressure is stable at 138/82, sinus rhythm on tele. And his troponin is trending down. His BNP levels are elevated at 400. He has a right radial arc line and a central line in the right IJ. He has a Foley catheter in place with urine output around 30 mL an hour. His labs are stable, and we're monitoring his potassium and magnesium and blood glucose every 4 hours. His skin is intact, but he has some mild bruising on the left forearm, and his family is involved and aware of his status. The plan is to stabilize him and gradually wean him off the ventilator and pressors as he can tolerate. Okay, so once we're done dictating the information, we hit submit, and it then gets processed, and within a few seconds, that information will come back to us in SBAR format. So as you can see, we have our patient here, John Smith, and all the information that we provided has been neatly organized using the SBAR format without you, the nurse, having to type anything. This was all done through your voice. So this includes the SBAR summary, this includes the smart note as well, and also custom recommendations for your patient. Now, to make changes, you would simply swipe to the right and tap update, and you can update the information. So let's go ahead and change the room number. Let's say he's in room 103, and you would hit save, and that information would be updated. And also a new smart note would be generated with this latest information. Okay, and here's a smart note. Yeah, perfect. So in order to generate the nursing care plan, for example, we would need to provide more information. So this was a really quick handoff, not as detailed. So in the future, if we add more information, we will have a more tailor-made nursing care plan for our patient. Now, you can change the order of your patients by simply tapping and holding and then sliding. And that's how you change the order of the patient. And then also, if you recall, we didn't create any tasks for our patient yet. But if you notice, when we go to our dashboard, we have 20 tasks. Now, how did that happen? This happened because when we go to our to-do list and tap on the floating action button, we have what's called a routine. A routine is a set of tasks that are pre-made and then auto-populated in real time. So if you have a routine, every time you create a new patient, that routine or that set of tasks or checklist will be automatically populated for your patient. That way you don't have to manually create a task each task for your patient. So for example, if you know that for every patient in your unit, you have to draw labs, you have to hand them off, you have to check the vitals, you have to do an assessment, you have to document, why not just create a checklist ahead of time, and then every time you add a patient, it'll automatically get populated. Once you've completed the task, simply tap the checkbox and it'll be marked as complete. So here at the bottom, we have those completed tasks, completed, completed, completed. All right, perfect. Let's complete another task, the room safety check. Completed. Okay, perfect. Now, let's say you were coming in and you had a patient, you had an assignment the previous day. This is day 2 of 3. You're working 3 days in a row, and you had a patient from the previous day, and you come in and you realize that you have the same patient. You also have the option to re-add a patient you had previously onto your clipboard by simply going to the top right-hand corner and viewing your previous patients. So these are the previous patients that we had. And let's go ahead and re-add patient Sarah. So we would swipe to the right and then tap re-add. Now, once we re-add Sarah to our patient list, the routine or the checklist that we created will also be applied to Sarah. So we would not have to create new tasks manually for Sarah. Those tasks would be automatically generated. Okay, so she has been re-added. We would then go back and view our current patients. And there she is. And if we wanted to place her on top in the order, we would simply tap and then drag. And there we go. And when we go to our to-do list, we would notice that we now have tasks that are assigned to Sarah. Now on the patient list, when we tap to expand our patient, we can view information, additional information that is behind this patient card. Simply by flipping the card in reverse, we would then see the to-do list specifically for this patient and also suggestions that are specific to this patient. So let's go back to our patient. We created John Smith, our sample patient, and let's go ahead and flip this patient to see what we have available for that patient. So we have some recommended actions to take: repositioning the patient every 2 hours, monitoring the fluid status, administering medications, etc. These are evidence-based recommendations that are generated that are specific to this patient. And then at the end of our shift, once we're ready to hand off this patient, we would simply create a QR code that the next nurse would then scan, and all the information that we gathered throughout our shift would then be transferred to that nurse, saving that nurse a lot of time. When removing a patient from your list, you can swipe to the right and tap remove, or you can also, depending on the patient status, are they being discharged or transferred, you can then choose the appropriate button. So the option will go with discharge, and then provide a quick rating. This is more on us, on you, the nurse. We're checking in with you on how you feel about the work that you just did, and then you would submit. Now, to view our notes that we've generated, you would go to the briefcase, which is at the bottom right-hand corner, and go to the notes section, and you would view all the notes that have been created, including our latest note for John Smith. Let's go ahead and complete some more tasks. So 22, 21, complete. If you wanted to, you can also duplicate a task. So we'll duplicate this task, the handoff, direct care, and hit save. Okay, and the task has been duplicated. And then let's go ahead and check it off. Let's check off all the handoff tasks. Okay, and let's complete a few more. Alrighty, and then let's update some information for our patient. So what I did was a quick shortcut, which is if you simply double tap, you can update your patient, or you can simply swipe to the right and tap update. So let's go ahead and change some information. Let's change some of the assessment information. Let's say that his RAS is now 0. And let's tap save. Okay, perfect. So that information will be updated. It's right there in the assessment. It says RAS score of 0. And also our progress note, or smart note rather, has been updated as well with that information. Perfect. Okay, and now let's say it's time to end our shift. We would simply tap end shift. And then after ending the shift, we'll do a quick check-in just to see how you're doing. You know, it's been a long day, it's been a long shift, but it's good to check in. We're feeling a little bit tired. We'll say 3 across. You have the option to add more information. Long shift. And then you can complete your mood check. And here we have an impact summary of all that you did during your shift. So in total, you had 3 patients, and you had 1 discharge, and the other 2 patients were established patients. And also you see how many tasks that you completed, how many acts of service, how many were on time, and how many were late, and how many were remaining. And also we have your resilience score, which measures your burnout risk and provides you with some suggestions on how to stay ahead of burnout. And then you have the ability to share this summary with your friends by tapping the share button. And once you're finished, you would just tap done. Also, you have the ability to view your previous shifts for the last 6 months. You can see how many tasks you completed each month, how many patients you saw each month, the types of patients, and also your burnout score or your burnout risk score for the last 6 months. This helps if you notice that your scores are low, then this prompts you to seek further help. And once again, we have resources in our tool section that you can use, that you can access in order to take care of your well-being. And once you're finished, you can simply turn off the app and you're good to go. So this has been a tutorial on how to use NurseBrain to add patients, to edit patient information, to add tasks, to complete tasks, to view progress notes, to generate progress notes, and also to monitor your well-being as well. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help you be the best you can and provide the best high-quality care to your patients.